Welcome back, guys. I'd like to just use the start of this video as a quick apology. I know I said I'd upload round 3 straight after round 2 the very next day, and so on with round 4. It's not turned out that way. The software had a bit of an issue where I couldn't actually export all the videos I was hoping to. Each export was taking 3 hours and just getting stuck. I don't exactly know what was going wrong, so I had to just upload the raw footage of the match against Riptide with Dan. I do apologise to him. That match deserved all the effort that went into the round against Kevin with Azalea. Both games are absolutely brilliant and both deserved absolute credit for a good video to actually watch and to enjoy, but unfortunately it didn't turn out that way. But for this last one against Tom playing Prism, I'm hoping this is going to turn out the way I did hope for all the other games. Hopefully I can also upload this immediately as well, because it is a fantastic game and I'm really hoping you're enjoying the videos, and I'm hoping you're going to just enjoy this one as much as me and Tom love playing it as well. So please sit back and enjoy. I love you, Tom. Hiya guys, welcome to Art of the Arrow. My name is Michael and welcome to the final round of the Armoury event of the 4 rounds that I've been uploading recently. And it's myself as Azalea, of course, and I am playing today Tom, who is not only one of my favourite ever people, he's also the one who I go to quite often for practice matches to help get prepared for any events. He's one of the best illusionist players that I know, so it's no wonder he's managed to get this new Prism into a final with his first event on Prism with his new deck list. But he's also one of the first people to get 11 legend points for Dromai when she first came about, so he is now very well experienced with illusionist decks. I've known him since he's been playing from the start of when he started playing, and he picked up Prism straight away before she was living legend. And now with this new Prism about, I'm hoping that he is very happy about it. I am happy at the fact that Luminaris isn't a thing in this deck anymore. That was an absolute killer for Azalea, and if anyone's played Azalea into old Prism, you know how much of a rough matchup that is every time. There's nothing Azalea players can do about it except hope that they just don't get any good hands. But Tom playing Prism, he's played just like me on the way to this last round, various different heroes. It was never the same hero twice, I don't think, but he's done very well, and it's going to be such a fantastic game this. I know both of us enjoyed it. We were killing ourselves laughing every single step of the way, and no matter who wins and loses, this is always an epic game that I will hands down play any day of the week. So before this round gets away and we're busy sideboarding, I wanted to just say a massive thank you for Geek Retreat in Sunderland for letting us record there literally whenever we've wanted to. If the rooms are free to record on, they're absolutely brilliant to let us just do it, and there's been absolutely no hassle since we've been doing it. But looks like we're about to get started, so I will get back to commentating on this epic final round. So again, with the lighting, you can't exactly see the cards properly, so I will let you know now what Tom is actually using in Prism for equipment. He's using, of course, Phantasmal Footsteps, brilliant card in any illusionist deck. Waves of Reality, Find All Spring Tunic, it looks like, is his chest piece, and Crown of Reflection. I'm not entirely sure with Crown what his plan is with it, but he's also using Iris of Reality as his weapon. We did do a game before when we had a game and he was using the new Luminaris weapon. It didn't really go to his plan, but it was an okay weapon for him to use. But to get things started, he's immediately played Parable of Humanity. This is a card that absolutely devastates me a lot of the times, and I don't know about any Lexi players, but I know this shuts down a Bolton shot when you give it +1 with the bow. And that is his player 1. He's pitched 2 cards to get this instant out and not even swung with it. He's chose to Arsenal his card. And for my turn, I've immediately went for a knock, so I'm hoping to get the big dominates in early. I'm searching for an Avo and I'm searching for Remorseless. So I'm kind of suspecting maybe, I was thinking it could be a defense reaction in Arsenal that he's chose to leave there, because he could have easily have just pitched a blue and swung Parables, because obviously with Iris of Reality, don't know this card, it's a brilliant weapon that lets any auras on the illusionist side swing for 4, go again, but it does cost 3, so I'm expecting a blue heavy deck, and if he's chosen not to swing, he's either got a really good attack card that he really wants to get out, or he's just chosen to Arsenal defense reaction and just suspected anything that could possibly come his way that he doesn't really want to hit. So I've chose to go the Remorseless route to stop any DVX in Arsenal. I've chose to give it an aim counter as well. I don't know if I'm just showboating. Nope, it's Deadeye. So this is going to give a +3 and it's going to come in for 8 dominate. And if this hits, not only will he take a life for every action card he plays, he will also have to show his hand and be forced to discard a card by my choosing as well, which doesn't get any better for him, unfortunately. So straight away from my first attack, I've managed to push some damage with a nice on-hit immediately. But I do remember at this point when he had to reveal the hand from Deadeye from the aim counter and let me discard. He had, I think it was Mirage and Metamorph in hand and 2 blue Heralds, which meant nothing to me. I'm not clued up on Illusionist by any means, so I was having to try and give him a good raid, make sure there's no any funny business, but I am still trying to second guess what is possibly in Arsenal as well. So it is a bit of a conundrum of, do I get rid of a blue and stop like too many auras swinging at once, or do I get rid of Mirage and Metamorph and get rid of his best card? And I've chosen to get rid of one of the blue cards to stop him swinging too many auras, because it could possibly be another Mirage and Metamorph in Arsenal that you could easily just pay for with the other one. So if you're a little bit confused to why Remorseless only did 3 damage when it was coming in for 8 and he blocked 4, that is because Parable of Humanity, the aura that he has out, gives all of my attacks -1 while it's still there. And unfortunately for Prism players with their auras, a lot of them just have Spectra as an effect, and Spectra basically doesn't let you do anything in the combat chain, so anything with Go Again does not have Go Again. The only way to get around it is to actually gain action points from somewhere. So Lead the Charges might do it, or popping a time snap potion, things like that, yes. If you're Rhino, even better, you can roll Scab Skins and hope for the best. But with Ranger, you don't usually have gain action points, you just have a lot of Go Again, and this is another one of those times I'm buffing a Bolton Shot right up to have Go Again, an on-hit reload, with an on-hit of a Ponder and Seek and Destroy. And with turns like these, if you don't really have a go-wide turn enough to actually go for both the Prism Hero, and the auras, you tend to just go straight for them and try and push damage. But there is some ways around it for Illusionist players. Like now, he's managed to get the advantage of a Brothers in Arms and a Fateful Saint to block Bolton Shot, taking 0 damage. But with the Go Again, I didn't need the reload. I've played Codex. That's allowed me to get a card from my grave into the arsenal. It is affecting Tom as well, I believe. It is, yes. I was just making sure that he hasn't picked up his arsenal there, sorry. So it is affecting him, so he is going to have to discard a card, and I'm just limiting what he does as well with the discard. But I think at this point, like I just said, I'm going to be choosing to go for the aura and get rid of them as soon as, because this Bolton Shot is just a plain Bolton Shot, and I've almost forgot to do my Skullbone to actually just cycle the deck and hope for a better hand with the Ponder being there. But now, because of the frailty on his side, if he has chosen Mirage and Metamorph like he has, it's only coming in for 6, so it's an easy 2 block for me, which is usually a bit of annoyance when it's 7 and it's going towards end step and I don't have that many poppers left, or I don't have any poppers left for that matter. But while Powerable stands, a lot of the times there's not many Azalea Ranger players, anything that doesn't have natural 6s needed in the deck, that don't usually run 7s, so it is immediately. So there's the popper that I mentioned. There's no need for him to actually go for Phantasmal Footsteps because he's got no floating resources, and like I say, the poppers are always brilliant to do that, but if not, I could have easily just blocked with 2 cards or just took the damage itself. So again, with Braces of Belief, I'm going to be breaking them and setting up a turn that looks like it's going to be a big hitter with a Lace of Blood Rot, Reveal and Lace of Inertia. So Tom does know what's coming, but all of this isn't going to be actually possible, without Skullbone Cross Wrap actually opting into these different cards that I'm needing and setting up this huge Remorseless turn with so many on hits. This is coming in for 13. It's stopping any defense reactions from Arsenal, and he's going to have to either full hand block this, or he's going to have to use up whatever he can to block as much as possible with all the D-reacts that he may run. It does look like, with Unmovable being pitched there, that he runs quite a lot of them. But with the multitude of on-hits coming his way with stuff like the Remorseless lose the life every action card, Laces of Inertia and Blood Rot to give him 2 different tokens as well. I think he's managed to actually fully block this. This is what I've noticed with his games. He does like to do a lot of his control games where he doesn't have to do much else except from just possibly get an aura out, or possibly get something else out that he needs, or just block what he can and take 0 to little damage and then just dish out daft ones. He's played Passive Mirage. That's a brilliant card for Prism to stop any phantasms coming his way. He can start his turn big by swinging something big and possibly trying to give it a go again in any ways that he can. So sometimes with the deck that I like to play with Azalea, I do like to Arsenal buff ups, but above anything else I love to be able to Arsenal a Bolton Shot, because I can have that straight in Arsenal, play a 0 cost buff up like I have here, Seek and Destroy, and give this first attack go again with a double on hit where he will have to discard his hand on Arsenal at the end of his turn. He knows I haven't used Death Dealer like Tom has saw there. He's just willing to take this first damage because he feels like there might be something worse coming after I've loaded the board with something. With Skullbone as well, I might have opted into something that might be a big buff up for something else. I've went into Battering Bolt, so I've probably looked at this and thought to myself that, oh, I'm actually going for a blind Azalea into another Bolton Shot. Wow. So this now has Dominate, and if I can buff it up, this can have go again as well with another on hit dependent on the on it. It's Lace of Inertia, so it's the bad combo with Seek and Destroy. If this hits, it's going to be basically Lace of Inertia is going to be cancelling out Seek and Destroy, so it might as well not even be there. So this is going to depend on what's actually happening, and we'll see what Tom actually decides to block with. So it is a red Bolton Shot. I was trying to make out what pitch of Bolton Shot that was. It is a red one, and Tom is deciding just to block with a Phantasmaclasm, taking 4 damage still. The blind Azalea was stroke of luck. It's something I like doing because it's always fun to try and get a card that you don't even know what's actually going to be coming, and I think I only really do that into sideboards where I know I'm not running anything that's going to be a whiff, essentially. and plus I have Codex of Frailty, so that Blind Azalea has turned out to be the best Blind Azalea for this game, because I've now got Go Again, and even if he's managed to fully block whatever I've intended to hit with, I've now got Codex that it didn't even need a hit. If I've got the Go Again, I can immediately play this and then load up another arrow of my choosing. And I think at this stage, depending on how many cards he has left, I'll be going for either a Bolton Shot or Remorseless, just to either push damage or maybe even get rid of that Passing Mirage that's sitting out. He hasn't really utilised it yet, but it might be a good shout to clear the board of any auras that he's able to swing, and it's something I don't really want to be doing, because 4 is a very awkward number in classic constructed format, because it might not seem like a lot, but it's how Bravo and how Oldham and even Starvo sometimes has been winning their games. Not as much Starvo, because he had far too many things to kill you with, but more Oldham and Bravo. So I have chosen to go with the Remorseless route. I think it's just if he's going to be playing that card in Arsenal, he's going to be taking damage for it, unless he decides to make a Spectral Shield with any funny cards like Prismatic Shields or whatnot. It might come my way, but usually in that situation, if I feel like they're not going to be able to fully block it, I'd go for an Infecting Shot and push the Bloodrot Pox token onto them to take an extra 2 damage at the end of their turn, or as Tom had their 2 cards in hand, to block with both cards and really just pass his turn and give me a chance. Especially with Codex of Frailty, it gives him a Frailty and it gives me a Ponder, so I'm guaranteeing myself an Arsenal at the end of the turn. So from the Codex of Frailty, Tom has chosen to go for a Herald of Protection. Not only is it, if it's going to hit, is it going to soul, he's also going to be getting a Spectral Shield, which it has, trying to block any possible damage that he can, and trying to go for any Figments that he might be able to get out and actually awaken to be able to swing with. Now the new Prism, if nobody's played against it yet or has too much experience with it, it's similar to Dromai. He has not an invoke, but he has Figments that he turns the card around once they awaken, which he has to do with Prism's instant ability. And then he'll also get, I don't know which one he's went for here. He has went for a Figment of Protection, which, a lot like Herald of Protection, as soon as it enters the arena, he creates another Spectral Shield. So he now has 2 Spectral Shields, which are going to block any 2 damage coming his way. He is going for the more blocking route here, which I think he is having to do, because now he is going to be ending his turn. He hasn't got anything floating, he hasn't got anything left to actually do with his turn. So it is just going to be sort of blocking what he can and doing what he can to block them, and passing straight over to me. Like I've said many of times with this deck, it is very repetitive. It is Skullbone, reveal the card in Arsenal, and then actually play it Azalea. It depends what you're doing. But what I have done here is I've managed to get a Dead High and load up a Red in the Ledger, the best card in the Azalea deck. I so love it when I see someone playing Azalea and they've got Red in the Ledger somewhere, even if there's 2 like I did in the last game against Dan. And I'm choosing here to Azalea into a Bolton Shot, which is very interesting. It's not often you'll see me get rid of a Red in the Ledger, because it's only allowing any hero to do 1 action, which against Prism it's not so much damaging for her, but I think I'm just going for the Dominates here to try and clear the board of any Spectral Shields and push some damage at the same time. But with it being Bolton Shot, it's going to have Go Again and on hit reload. I'm surprised I didn't go for the aim counter as well. With a Deadeye being out, it's going to get the additional effect of looking at his hand and discarding a card, which is always a brilliant thing to do against any player. It doesn't matter who you are, they all need cards in the hand, and limited into what they can actually do. It basically sums up the game for you if you can keep up the pace like what this has been for me. It has been very lethal attacks non-stop, either going wide or going tall, dominate. It's been brilliant to actually manage to do. But I'm also forcing Tom to awaken his Figment into into Aegis, Archangel of Protection. I hope I'm pronouncing the first name properly. I'm probably going to get told off if I'm not. But yeah, what he's doing here, again, it's with the Angels that all have Ward 4, a lot like his Waves of Reality arm equipment. So he's only doing this just to try and force me to hit those wards that he doesn't want to actually get rid of any Spectral Shields. And this is coming in for, because it's a yellow Bolton shot, it's 9 Dominate, and he's managed to block 4 without actually popping any Spectral Shields. Block another 4 with the Archangel, and then popping 1 Spectral Shield. So now he has 2. That's enough for him to be able to fully block this hand, and then even just pitching to swing one of his auras right now, or possibly playing another aura. Arsenal, and if it's a Deviact, he has so many options here, and he's used his Tunic counter resource to pay for another Mirage and Metamorph, which I'm happy just to block 2 cards with and take 1 damage instead of actually taking 7 damage. I don't need to take any unnecessary damage at this point, especially if I've got Memorial Ground in hand and he has no Arsenal, so I don't need to worry about choosing Remorseless to stop any Deviacs from the Arsenal. I'm going to go for maybe Red in the Ledger. I'm not sure I've actually played one. I don't believe at this point I've actually played any Red in the Ledgers. I think I've only been playing the likes of Bolton shots and Remorseless and Infecting shots, so I'm probably going to either go for, I thought I'd go for an Infecting shot and try and push some damage, especially if he's getting Spectral Shields out. And what I can do now is, if I have enough pitch, I could even pay for an aim counter here, or I can just use my Tunic as he did for his Mirage and Metamorph. I'm choosing to go that way to keep an Arsenal. Oh no, I'm not, I'm actually buffing it up to an 8 Dominate with 2 Nasty on hits. So Seek and Destroy again, discard your hand on Arsenal at the end of your turn. An Infecting Shot, pushing it through the Bloodrot Pox token, which is going to cause 2 damage at the end of his turn. And depending on what he does, he has got a very blue heavy deck it seems, because he is using Iris, and it would be a bit unusual if he chose not to have a deck built around Iris of Reality with a lot of blues. But again, it's just removing the option of actually hitting back at me for anything. This is dominated as well, so I'm trying to push a bit more damage through, and even if I push 1 damage through, I'm going to be pushing another 2, which if he's going to be taking either a lot of damage or he's going to be taking virtually none or none, and getting rid of his hand, which again gives me another opportunity to keep the tempo. And he's choosing to use a defense reaction from hand, which is also going to pop his Spectral Shield, and he will be taking 3 damage from it and getting the Blood Pox. So if he by chance makes another Spectral Shield at the end of the turn, he is going to be taking 2 damage, but instead breaking them Spectral Shields. So for me to actually be able to try and push damage without the worry of anything blocking damage naturally. And this looks now to be his 3rd Mirage and Metamorph, so he's managed to hit all 3. I think he's pitching a Genesis to do so as well. I'm surprised he's not just trying to get Genesis straight out there, but I don't think he wants to be taking any damage, because even going down to 10, you're running the potential risk of going into lethal Dominate with Azalea, which is very easily capable of doing. So he's playing the smart way around it, of trying to take as little damage as possible, whilst at the same time trying to have some sort of a playable hand. He's still pushing back 7 a turn with these Mirage and Metamorphs, and I've only been able to pop 1 so far. So at this point, what I've done is played Read the Glide Path, and then loaded up Aspire Sniping. If no one's actually played this card or seen this card, what it does is it lets you look at the top 2 cards of your deck and put them back in any order on top, which means again it's another potential Dominate for Azalea. And what's happened here is I've done Read the Glide Path first, so when I've loaded it up with Death Dealer, I know exactly what what I'm going to be drawing before I'm actually loading up. And now what I've done is I buffed the shit out of this card apparently. So I've given this Infected shot, yep, I've given it an aim counter, so it's starting out at 6 and then it's getting +9 with an on-hit of Bloodpox token. So this is coming in for 15 dominate, and if this hits, not only will he get a Blood Rot Pox, I will also get a Ponder for the end of my turn. This is what I was saying about earlier. It's running the huge risk against Azalea because 15 dominate. If you're on 12 health, a lot of decks don't have the potential block or the equipment to manage to actually block this, and this could have been game over if that was the case here. But right now, this is a lot for Tom to think about, because this is, I'm going to be guessing and assuming this is gonna hit, but I have been wrong before. Tom has managed to block some of my 17 dominates fully. Somehow he's that sort of a player. But yeah, so this is one way around it. He's choosing to Oasis, so he's not only blocking 4 damage, he is also gaining a health, but he's also going to be just taking the other damage from it, that comes from it, and taking the 11 with the Blood Rot Pox. So he's obviously got some sort of a plan, but I'm assuming it's either going to be a setup or he's going to be going for it big here. What I am noticing from this game, after he's just pitched a Shimmers of Silver, I think that's what the card's called, he has not actually getting a lot of auras coming his way, and I'm just assuming that he's managed to get a lot of instances that he's not able to block with, but he's having to pitch for other things and not actually able to get them out. Usually I've seen his games and he has about 3 or 4 auras out by now, even when he's taking big damage, just to be able to have them out and have them as an option whilst doing their effects, you know, like Parable, giving -1 to everything. But with him just paying for the Blood Pox with that Shimmers from the last turn, and it's given me an opportunity just to play Knock the Death Whistle and potentially end the game. And again, it's been a lot of Deviacs and Oasises, so I am going to choose Remorseless to limit how many defense reactions he's going to be able to play just a 1 from hand. But he has played Oasis, he might be able to block this fully, and we'll see how this goes, because this is now going to be going to the top of the deck. It looks like I've got a Drill Shot in Arsenal, and it doesn't really matter against Prism. Blade breaks only on the Findall Spring Tunic. Phantasmal Footsteps as well, but he's kind of got the choice whether to break them or not. But yeah, I am going to be buffing this Remorseless right up again, and two buff ups, both laces of Blood Rocks and Inertia, and this is coming in for 11 dominate, and I think this is going to be game. When it starts getting to this stage and Tom is still playing Sink Below, he's on 2 health, this is 11 dominate, and he's still trying to think of his way around it. Tom is very capable of doing it, I'll be surprised. Yeah, he hasn't drew the right card, so that is game. And Tom, I absolutely love him, he's a brilliant player, and it's always fun to play against him. But yeah, that is all 4 rounds, and I managed to win the event. So guys, thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to see more of these videos, please let me know in the comments. Subscribe to keep up with all the latest content, and I'll see you in the next video.